Guys, welcome to Style Me. My name is Okolua. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this sexy pencil skirt with side slits. So this tutorial is very easy, it's beginner friendly. Just follow the steps and you're going to be making one in no time. Guys, if you like my video, please subscribe. Just click the subscribe button. Anytime I post a video, you're going to get a notification. Thank you.
So I'm writing down my measurements. The measurements I need is the waist, the hip, and the length of the skirt. So my waist is 28, my hip is 37, and the length of my skirt is 21. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the biggest part in that measurement to fold. So the biggest part is the hip. My hip is 37. I'm going to be dividing that by 4. So 37 divided by 4 is like 9.25. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches seam allowance. So that gives me 11.25. So I'm going to be using 11.25 to fold my pattern. I'm going to be folding to the 11.25 mark. It shouldn't be less than 11.25. It can be more than, but not too more than. You can make it 12, but you have some excess left, so you can just make it exactly 11.25. So that is what I did here. So I made it 11.25. So now I'm going to start marking my vertical measurements. I'm going to be starting from the waist. I will note my waist area. That is my starting point, my waistline. That is where my waistline is. So from that point, I'm going to measure my hip line. So my hip line is 7.5. You can measure it on the person. Just place your tape rule from the waistline, then measure to the hip line. But for this measurement now, my hip is 37, so my hip line should be around 7.5. I normally don't go beyond 9.510. Depending on the person's measurement. So I can either use 7.5, 7, 8, 9, or the highest is 10 I've ever used for someone. So that is that. I'm marking out 7.5 for my hip line. So that is my hip line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is getting my skirt length. So the length of my skirt is 21. So I'm going to be marking that out, 21, and I'm going to be ruling that out. Then after then, I'm going to be adding 2 inches for M allowance. Sorry, I added 1.5. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 for M allowance. You can add 2 inches too. So that is that. I've done that. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I've gotten all my vertical measurements. The vertical measurements are the measurements you measure straight. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be getting the corresponding horizontal measurements of those vertical measurements. So what I'm just saying is I'm going to get the horizontal measurements of my waistline, the horizontal measurements of my hip line, then the hem area too. So I'm doing the calculation for my waist area now. My waist is 28. I'm dividing it by 4. That is 7. I'm adding 2 inches. That is 9. Then I'm adding extra 1 inches for that allowance. So why is because we're adding 1 inches for the waist area for that allowance because we're going to have that on the waist area. We don't need that on the hip area, so that's why we didn't add it. So now I'm joining it. So what I just did here is I didn't go all the way to the hip line. I just stopped like 1 inches above it because so I wanted to give it that shapy look. You can use your French cuff for this. I don't normally use French cuff. So now I'm just going to whatever I get on that hip area. So my hip area is 11.25. That was the first thing we used to fold. So I'm going to mark it out on my M area. I'm trying to shape my M area now. So I'm going to mark it out on my M area, and I'm going to minus 2 inches from that measurement, because I want it to give it that shapy pencil sketch look. So I'm going to minus 2 inches, and I'm going to join that together. Then I'm going to join it to the hip line. So that is what I did. You can minus 2.5, you can as well minus 1.5. It depends on individual preference, but 1.5 will not give you that pencil look. So I just use I always use 2 inches. I mostly use 2 inches. So that is the front. So I'm going to use this front to cut the back. I'm going to add extra 1 inches for zip allowance. So I'm going to be cutting that. So now this is what it looks like. So I've added extra 1 inches for zip allowance. Then I shaped my body rise for the front area. So body rise is just, you just come down half inches from the waist area, then you slant it. So body rise is just to avoid that saggy look on that waist area. So that is what I'm just doing. I'm just slanting it. I'm just cutting it, sorry. So only for the front area, don't remove it for the back area. So the back still maintains the normal shape. So that is that. So I've done that. So now I'm going to be shaping the front pattern. We want to shape our slits, our sexy slits. We're going to be shaping that now. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that now. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to measure from your waist area to where you want the slit to start from. I made mine start from 14 inches. Can you see what I'm showing you? So I'm not going to start from that point. I'm going to start after my seam allowance point. I'm going to start shaping my slits after my seam allowance point. Now the next thing to note is how wide you want the curve to look on the M area. You can go all the way to the middle if you like to show skin, but I don't want to show too much skin, so I'm stopping at 4. I think I used 3.5 from, okay, I used 4 inches. I'm starting from that 2 inches mark, and I'm marking 4 inches. I'm going to be curving my slits now. You can use French curve for this. I normally don't use French curve. I'm just so used to using my hand, so I'm just curving it like that. So can you see it's looking nice already? So by the time I hold my seam allowance in, I hold my 2 inches, I'm still going to have that curve. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as opposed to when I don't note the seam allowance and I just start curving from that edge, it's not going to come out shapy. So that's why I'm starting from the seam allowance point. I'm starting my curve from that point. I hope you understand. So that is that. So I'm just going to be cutting it out now. So I'm cutting it out. Yes, nice and easy, right? So I'm going to be notching that area just to know just to show you what it is like. Look, just picture it after the notch, how the curve looks like. So I'm going to be using this to cut the lining. The lining is going to be shorter, 1.5 inches shorter than the main fabric. So I have used the pattern to cut my fabric, and I have cut the lining too. The lining is 1.5 inches shorter, sorry. So now my darts, I'm marking my darts. My dart is 4 inches horizontally and 6 inches vertically. Sometimes I use 7, but for my measurements I always use 6. You can use 7, you can use 6. So I marked out half inches from both sides. After the 4 inches mark, I marked half inches in, half inches out. So I'm joining it like that. So that is that for the dart. So I'm going to be sewing that. So now we're back to the sewing. So the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to sew the hem area first. You're going to stitch the hem area first so that you pull it up. You use the lining to pull it up. Then you sew the curve area, that is the slit area. So that I'm just trying to show you what it looks like when after you pull. It depends on what you add at the hem area. That depends on how wide whatever you pull will be. So now because I added 1.5, so now okay, I have sewn the hem area now. I'm going to show you that now. So I've sewn the hem area. So now I'm going to pull it up. So can you see? I'm going to pull it up to meet that point, that curve point. So can you see? So I've pulled it off to meet the curve point. Sorry. So I've pulled it off to meet the curved point. So now I'm going to be stitching it from the curved area. So can you see? I've done that. I've sewn it. I've sewn the curved area. So I've sewn that. So I've sewn the sides as well. So I'm going to be turning it out, and I'm going to add my darts and show you what it looks like. Yes, this is what it looks like. Yeah. Guys, please like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you.